What's going on, everybody? Welcome to a new year of the Rooted Asian American Roundtable podcast. I am joined with me today with Huey and Dorothy, but we have a special guest today. And so
Yes, we
I
do.
will let's start with Huey and then we'll go big as we go. Not saying you're not important, Huey, but we'll start with you, my friend, and then we'll just ramp it up all the way to our special guest.
Awesome. Happy New Year, Ruda family. My name is Huey, and I serve as on staff at Christ Central Presbyterian Church in Centerville, Virginia. I've been here for about 12 years plus. Yeah, it's good to be here with you guys.
Awesome. I'll kick it out to Dorothy now.
Hey everyone, this is Dorothy. I am the youth director at the Chinese Bible Church of Maryland in Rockville, Maryland, and kind of actually going on a gradual offboarding process from that, but we can talk more later. But yeah, I've been out here for just over 7 years now, and glad to be with you too.
All right, Dorothy, introduce our special guest for this episode.
As you may observe, next to me is another sister who is also in the faith, God bless, yes. And she is someone who can introduce herself.
Oh, man. All right, let's do it.
But I actually do know her.
Yes. Dorothy, we do know each other a little over a year and a half.
Yes.
I'm Esther. I am not in ministry, but I am a Christian. I am in the faith.
Excellent.
I am very involved at my church. I just recently got onto the leadership council at church here in DC. And I was a PK, or I'm still a PK. I've been a PK for 28 years, so I think I have things to say.
And we will bring you on. We will bring you back on because that is a episode. Absolutely,
You can get your own camera
Yeah.
later.
That sounded spicy. Okay,
I know, man.
I can't wait for
So
that one.
stay
don't
on
you,
for the
John.
bonus episode, everybody, because we'll just have the unfiltered version with Esther. So, hey everyone, my name is Justin. I'll be hosting our episode today. I'm from Houston, Texas, where last week it was 80 something degrees. Today was 30, and so I think our bodies are going to explode. And I think tomorrow's supposed to jump back to 77. So who knows? It's ridiculous.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and as crazy as that is, we still enjoy youth ministry, right? How's that for segue?
I don't know. Yeah.
Today's episode, we're talking all about milestones, celebrations, appreciating leaders and students, but also some annual events. And we wanted to be very practical today, kind of grab our calendars, get some advice, see what you guys have done. I want to pick your brains in terms of what you do well, what you do horribly, horror stories in partying planning for church ministry. And so we're going to talk all about that today with the little time we have left. All right. So friends, I'll kick it to Dorothy and Esther. What were some of your, if you look back at your youth days, you guys as youth, all right, what were some favorite events in your calendar that you go, hey, that was formative or that was fun or it brought in a core memory?
I think for sure, especially because we're in the holiday season, it was a Thanksgiving dinner. And I remember in middle school, the Thanksgiving dinner was for the longest time something along the lines of like we would help to cook and kids
So
could
you
come
would
around.
eat.
It was a Chinatown church, right? So like instead of having kids be out in gangs or going
Oh,
to the
okay.
park and playing nothing except maybe Pokemon cards, I don't know, and getting them stolen. Like, hey, come to church early, help cook a Thanksgiving dinner because that's sometimes one of the only periods a year where kids, especially Chinatown kids, could eat American food. So
Wow.
I think that it was a highlight of the year because it's like, yeah, we love turkey. Well, not quite. We love mashed potatoes and mac and cheese. And then I think someone at some point was like, let's just buy fried chicken in Chinatown. Like, you know what? That's a good idea.
Mm.
But we carried that into even high school ministry, where instead the student leaders could host some of their small groups and they would cook at people's houses and then make their way towards church with all the home cooked items.
Okay.
So for the longest time, yeah, it was home cooked kind of meals using recipes with the food that the leaders bought and we could make it at church or at people's houses. until they started catering it, which is easier, but it's a different experience. So that's one definitely core memory I remember in youth ministry in terms of calendaring and events.
Okay.
Ooh.
Okay. Esther, do you have anything?
Yeah. Well, I've always grown up like in a smaller setting where the youth group is just like me, my sister, and like three other kids.
Oh,
But I really loved our retreats. And usually it's like my dad who led it, or
okay.
like we had maybe one youth minister that was like part-time. And he would do it. But I really love retreats. I think it was just like a very intentional time to spend time with the Lord and like hear God's word from my dad. um, and um, yeah, and just be with other friends. Yeah, outside of like a normal church setting. I think a lot of times that's when like my relationship with those friends grew deeper.
Yeah.
Yeah,
How many retreats would y'all do in a given year?
probably like two, like one in the summer and one in the winter.
Yeah, that checks out.
Yeah.
But if budget is tight, it's once a year.
Okay. Okay.
But if you had to
Uh,
pick between a summer or a winter retreat, what would you pick?
that's good.
Summer.
Okay.
Ah.
Summer.
Is it longer or is it about the same length?
About the same. Yeah, just like a weekend.
Oh,
Okay.
Yeah.
because
Okay.
for us,
So,
our summers were like 1 week long.
Oh wow. Yeah,
but
see,
is
that's
it,
the
I mean,
difference
isn't
between
that
us.
camp though? I mean, if it's a week long, isn't that count as summer camp? Or is that something completely different, Dorothy?
I don't know. I think the nomenclature is kind of interesting because I have traditionally understood retreats as a weekend and camp as a week. But then a colleague of mine was like, well, camp is more because of all the activities, right? I was like, I guess. So technically, summer is more aligned with camp, and then winter is for retreat because you don't get away for that long in winter.
Okay.
I don't know. That was just how it was explained to me. It's more so about the activities, but I can see both ways.
No,
Yeah.
no, no. This is
Name
going
it
to be
however
helpful.
you name it, friends, you know?
But this is going to be helpful for, I think, as we start to expand the Asian American youth ministry. I think as people go, hey, we need speakers for retreat or camp, I think that nomenclature does help out a lot
Yeah.
because you're just like, what am I getting myself into? Huey, is
Yeah.
that the same for
Sure.
you? And when do you do your retreats?
First of all, I can't even imagine a week long retreat or a camp. That's
Wait, hold on.
what?
Have you not done one?
It's
No,
not as
No way.
normative on the East Coast. It's more so of a
no
What?
way, man.
Midwest,
East
West, or
Coast,
South.
y'all don't do like summer camps?
No, not for we do. Yeah, we do retreats, and if camp means more than 5 days, no way. I mean,
You just can't get
I would.
volunteers for that,
That's
though.
wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, can you imagine being? So you've spoken at a camp where you spoke like how many
Yeah, like
messages is that?
10, like
Wow, you
6 to
spoke,
10.
bro.
Bro,
You are
no.
that's
You're
amazing,
a
man.
different kind of
Well, no, no. Okay,
machine.
so 10 was on the way high end, right? I think
Hmm.
in the summers where it's about 110 degrees, we'll ask our speakers
Oh,
to do about six, oh gosh, six,
to 8?
maybe,
Okay.
yeah, to 8 messages minus one, right? So
Hmm.
it's,
Yeah, I
Well,
mean,
it's,
that,
it's long.
I I've done six, but I was like dying after
Yeah.
that. Yeah, I've done six, maybe like two retreats, but that's a lot.
So I know
yeah.
West Coast, they
Yeah.
do, I would say they do summer camps too, right? Or is that just a Southern thing or Midwest
I
thing?
mean, you did some time in the West.
I did.
Not that she was in prison, just she was there for school.
Yeah, I was there for most of my 20s.
Oh,
I don't know. Like my church when I was in LA, they would take a group of kids for like a week, but then I think our youth group, they went for like a long weekend, not quite a week, but definitely more than like a weekend.
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
When I was in youth ministry, I um 3 nights, 4 day. I did that once in like my how many years is it, like 17 year, 10 year. I did that once and I never did it again.
No way. Are you for real?
For real.
Dude, your students who are listening to this or your former students are gonna be like, yo, you totally like
I
did
know.
not give us the experience.
I robbed them.
Oh my God. Like, so I look back and I'm going, we did maybe two a summer, like 2 week long camps a summer growing up, plus
Wow.
another week of missions. summers were like insane for us. So,
Wow.
all right, this is okay.
It's a
I
different
understand.
culture
Yeah.
because in the
I
East Coast, a lot
guess.
of high schoolers are involved with internships or other jobs. And so they, even if they might want to go to a camp,
They can't.
they can't because if they take off, they don't get paid, or they
Interesting.
can't
Sure.
list that as a valid program of experience.
Or they can't study for the SATs. Like SAT
And
camps is like,
that will
Wait, that's a
dictate like
thing?
whether
yeah.
you,
Oh.
but that will dictate whether you guys will have camps or not or
We
not.
plan all of our ministries around the academic calendar. That's case in point. And that's something I had to
Interesting.
get used to when I came to the East Coast because in the Midwest, yes, we take the academic calendar into account, but we're also accounting for like 20 different school districts versus 2 to 3 counties.
Okay. Okay.
Mm,
Yeah, that's
wow.
good to know. Good to know.
Yeah,
Huey, sorry,
culture.
I we totally skipped you on this one, but what were some of your favorite events as a teen yourself?
Probably the fondest one I could think of is our volleyball tournaments.
Oh,
I don't know if that was ever a thing where you guys grew up, but in New York, that's where I grew up. We had huge church tournaments. We had two tournaments a year, one Memorial Day and one in the summer.
Mm,
And churches would show out. I mean, they would bring tents, they would bring grills.
wow.
I mean, it's an event for all age groups. Parents are so supportive.
yeah.
Parents who have students who are playing in those tournaments. We would have
Okay.
a boys team, we would have a girls team, we would have a co-ed team. And if churches are larger, they would send two boys teams, two girls teams, and two co-ed teams. So we would rent out an entire park, it seemed like back in the day. And when parents come to cheer, they would bring those pots and pans and they would bang.
Yeah.
It was insane.
I don't know
You
what that
know,
is. That must be an East Coast thing as well.
maybe I don't know, but it was, I mean, churches that were represented, I mean, they brought like everybody to those tournaments.
Okay.
So it was a huge, huge affair. And growing up, in a medium-sized youth group, like you get so close, not just to your friends and your youth group, but like you get to know like their parents and all the youth leaders and whatnot. Like it was such a yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Praise the Lord. The Youth Ministry Unscripted Podcast is the rebranded version of the Rooted Youth Ministry Podcast. In Youth Ministry Unscripted, we talk real, honest, and raw about youth ministry. The Youth Ministry Unscripted Podcast aims to advance gospel centered youth ministry by equipping and empowering youth ministers and parents to faithfully disciple students toward lifelong faith in Jesus.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay. I want to pull that a little bit more. Sports events as a missional engagement for the church, worth it or
Hmm.
not? What do you guys think?
That's a good question.
I mean,
And again, this
I
is this is inviting people from the outside in with a missional bent on it. And let's assume that there's a gospel sharing of some
Mm.
sort. What
Yeah.
do you think? Worth it or not? Because I that is a huge strategy, right, Huey?
Yeah.
Whether it's dodgeball, volleyball, pickleball, right?
Hmm.
So, I mean, in that exact line of thought, I'm reminded of my church, my former church in Chicago, where they had an annual Labor Day sports tournament. And for at least 3 decades, maybe, it was both basketball and volleyball. So this is Labor Day, right? And we at some point had churches from Boston coming all the way over. At one
Wow.
point, I remember a church from like Atlanta or Georgia or Florida, and the
Okay.
representation was just insane. But that was the breadth of the network of Chinese churches in that time. Um,
Um,
so it was a tournament that had an evangelical or outreach element undergirding it. And it did actually help to bring people into the church or to those respective churches who had visiting teams. Um, I think one of the blessings that did come from it is helping some of the teenagers who might not have been as athletically inclined as they were helping to serve or to
That's fair.
volunteer for those tournaments. And a lot of them have stayed in the church. Some of them might not have stayed in that particular church, but maybe are in other churches. So exposing young people or people who are in some way, shape, or form hungry for the gospel through their activities and interests, yes, to answer your question, I think there's a lot of merit to it. Um, uh, I think it also warrants having to go to a facility though and figuring out some of the logistics of how can we fit all the people that we've invited and have taken up that invitation. Because one church at some point, unless you're a huge mega church with multiple gyms, it's really difficult to house that many games or players and people, right? So for sure there's validity and merits to it, but I think you do need a committee to head that up, not just having one or two people who are just happy to play sports.
Yeah. Well, because I mean, I could imagine some of our listeners as they are thinking through the spring, maybe the summer,
Yeah.
and they're going, what are some events that we want to throw on, right? Sports it's fairly easy, seems kind of low hanging fruit, but then I just want to ask, is it missionally viable? Is it kind of a bait and switch? I've heard sometimes. All right, you're just trying to get them in, and what do we do? Huey, thoughts on this?
I mean, the tournaments that I grew up playing in, or I've been around, they were never meant to be missional in the sense that it was never a method of evangelism.
Okay.
It was always like interchurch fellowship. But even then, I feel like the benefits that I saw with my own eyes was, like you grow in affection and love for
Yeah.
your church family, right?
Okay.
So is it worth it? I mean, it's worth it. I think you do kind of grow closer together in that, preparing and training together, all of that. But does it actually create deeper affection for other churches? I don't know. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah,
There's a
I'm
whole
not sure.
spectrum. Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
at the end of the day, it shows like this is what community can look like. Like
Yeah.
you,
Mhm.
for those who don't know Jesus and their entry point is through sports, it's like, well, this is what the family of God can look like. This is what community can look like. And
Sure.
you can be part of something. And like, I think these days, like with kids, like it doesn't work to like straight up, well, maybe it does work, but like to beat them with the Bible over their heads
Yeah.
and be like so direct with them, but being relational with them and showing what it's like to be a Christian and what
Yeah.
it's like to be in communion with Jesus. It's like sports is a great entryway of,
It's a vehicle.
yeah, of like, hey, come join us and hang out with us. And through my life, hopefully
Yeah.
you'll see like following Jesus is worth it and the
Yeah.
gospel is good.
No,
So just
that
building that community itself, it's like worth it.
yeah, that's so good. I think if I can sum up what the four of us are trying to get at, especially if you're a youth pastor or you're a youth worker listening to this episode, I think to be honest about the event is key.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
Don't try to make it something that it's not. And I think, again, I think people can already sniff it out if you're trying to use it for something. And again, whether that's sports or a musical or something, just call it what it is. Um, but I think this is also a good chance. I think, Esther, you said this for people to see what you can be a Christian and an athlete. You can be, you can love Jesus and still be cool at
Yeah.
the same time. I think that's kind of what the sports ministry element looks like. There's direct ties from the gospel, uh, its community, how we treat one another, onto everything part of life. And I think for us, we use that to kind of teach the students. You don't have to be two separate people. You can play. We want you to be great athletes. We want you to be competitive too. But there's a way of doing that, and that's informed by your faith in Christ and the gospel community. So,
Mhm.
as you guys plan out there, just kind of keep that in mind. I think people know they're going to a church. They understand that as well. They're not stupid. So, okay,
Lead
a
with
couple.
intention.
I know a couple more questions with this as we're trying to navigate events. Um, how do you guys budget when it comes to events? Is it a percentage? Is it the same budget y'all use copy paste of last year? How? And part of it, I know we're talking about money, which Huey, we talked about having a whole episode just on cash, but we're getting there, right? This is a kind of a slow start. How do y'all think about budgeting for events? How much is too much to spend? How little is too little? And what should you be paying for? What should you not? And then what should you consider in terms of budgeting? Whoever wants to take this one first.
Actually, I mean, Esther's got some corporate experience with event
Tell us,
planning,
please
but
tell us.
actually, I don't know. Like those numbers, of course, will look different in a corporate versus in a church. Just subtract a couple digits.
Yeah.
But, I mean,
I think when it comes to youth, food is so important. So I don't think you shouldn't like nickel and dime for food. Like if there's free food, kids will come. They'll eat that up, as the Gen Z says.
Okay, so let me pause real quick. Are you catering towards the students or are you catering towards everyone else? Like in terms of the quality of food. So are we talking about, I mean, youth will eat anything, I believe.
I mean,
But
yes.
do you want like a higher level of chicken nugget or are you feeding like the leaders and the parents?
Their expectations have increased, I must
Yes.
say. You
Oh,
can't
y'all got
get
some
like
bougie
McDonald's.
East
No meat
Coasters.
McDonald's.
Yeah. Like at least Chick-fil-A
Yeah.
nuggets. Like
Man, that gets expensive now.
it
Yeah.
does, but I think food is worth it. Food for sure is worth it. I think you can like be a little like conservative when it comes to like decorations and
Just
stuff.
thinking the same thing.
Yeah, but food, be generous with decorations. It doesn't have to be a lot. I think maybe gifts, like if you're giving something, I'm thinking about like graduation ceremonies or stuff like that. Like I think if there's intentionality with it, even if it's not like the biggest thing and the most expensive thing on earth, like I think that would be worth it and very impactful. But I wouldn't spare money on food. Like I would go out on food, and decorations I would save. And the gift portion, I would be very intentional. Like I wouldn't spend too much, but I would be very intentional with that.
Dorothy, Huey, do y'all agree on the food aspect?
I'm gonna let Huey go first. How about that?
Oh, I like this.
Oh, for sure. I think food brings people together, and I think one of the things that I always think about is I'd rather have enough than not have enough,
Yes.
That's true.
right? So I would over order and have leftovers than
Yeah, or ancestors who get upset,
yeah.
right?
Right? Yeah.
Our ancestors would be terrified if
Yeah.
we host something and we don't have enough food.
Oh yeah, that's like it feels terrible, right? For
Yeah.
everybody, right? And then I think another thing is at least for the way that I practice it is when it's like food or when it's food for if we're like celebrating students, it comes out of the youth ministry budget. But if I'm doing something to appreciate our leaders, then I will set aside a minimum just in case, but I will invite the parents to give. Right? It's a way for not just the church or the youth ministry to celebrate our leaders and appreciate our leaders. It's a way practically for our parents to give towards supporting and encouraging and thanking our leaders. And I always make sure that our leaders know that either 100% of this meal or 70% came from like the parents of our youth students for whatever reason, right?
That's so good.
Just to kind of make it clear that our leaders are being appreciated in that way, right?
Yeah.
But when it comes to stuff like decorations and food for like when it's dealing with our students, it'll typically just come out of all of our youth budget.
That's good.
Wading into youth ministry can be overwhelming. It's more overwhelming if you don't have someone to lean on and learn from. The Rooted Youth Ministry Mentorship Program was created for youth pastors in precisely this situation. The program is designed to provide both small group and individual coaching for youth ministers who are in their first 3 years of youth ministry, or youth ministers who are transitioning to a gospel-centered approach. This program is 1 year, wherein small groups of 4 to 6 youth ministers are led by one mentor in both a cohort and an individual setting through a carefully crafted 12-month curriculum designed to help you grow spiritually as an individual and as a youth minister. This comprehensive curriculum, designed by and for youth ministers, cover all facets of youth ministry, from Bible teaching, relational discipleship, equipping and training volunteers, missions, retreats, and crisis management. At the end of the program, we expect you'll be more proficient in teaching the Bible to students. You'll feel more comfortable partnering with parents, and you'll be better equipped to handle crisis situations, among other things. Additionally, when you complete the program, you'll receive a Rooted Youth Ministry certificate to affirm your commitment to join God in the work that He is doing in the lives of the students you serve.
Yeah.
All right, Dorothy, what's your hot take?
My hot take, philosophically, I have, I'll share a little story. When I first came on staff, it was near Thanksgiving time, and I was responsible for ordering catering for the youth ministry's Thanksgiving dinner. Because I had never really catered or seen those numbers before, like the cost, I was like, spending $900 for catering for 70 kids is too much. This was 2018.
All right.
Wait, don't judge me yet. And so I learned my lesson because, one, I didn't realize middle school girls could be that hungry. But secondly, I didn't realize also kids could waste so much food. And so 7 years later, my philosophy has been more so, one, we will serve you, students. You will not serve yourself.
Okay, that's always a good tip.
For portion control, and
Yeah.
also just so that we
Minimize
want to make
waste.
sure our volunteers can eat, and so we can minimize waste. And something that is hard for me to relinquish is even where we have our monthly like combined Sunday school, we just call it Sunday Fun Day Fellowship. And we provide like breakfast, but usually that comes out of like personal pocket money, not the church budget.
Oh.
And so when I see that there's more food waste, it makes me less inclined to want to actually have these food events. Because if our students, like if we can't teach them how to steward like their appetites, then I think it's a borderline unwise thing to keep feeding them until like we can come to a philosophy or like a theology of food. So yes, ancestrally, like we do want to order a lot of food and make sure no one goes hungry and we have enough for leftover, but that's also coming out of church budget, which if it's just going back into families' houses or people don't want to take food home, Lord, forbid, then we are still wasting food. So that's kind of like my my hot take or difficult relationship with food sometimes is, as much as I want there to be a lot of provision, I'm also extremely conscientious of proportion because I don't want to waste, and I also don't want our students to get used to wasting food, let alone just like seeing food and never ever actually wanting to either take it home or it being of the caliber that they do want to take it home.
Yeah. No, that's good. I mean, this we can make an episode just on this itself, you know what I mean? But I think for our listeners, if you can gather or get something from this portion of it, I think the first thing is, as ministers and leaders, we are called to steward the finances that is in our care wisely, right? I mean, people are tithing and they're donating and allowing us to kind of dictate philosophy of ministry, philosophy of gifting, philosophy of food. And so there's a responsibility because ultimately it's the Lord's money. Now, I think our Asianness can come in sometimes on this one because sometimes we'll treat it. I've done both. You treat it as yours, so you want to be extra generous, or you treat it as ours because then we want to be super stingy with it, right? The saving and the spending mentality. That's something where I think the Lord's going to have to constantly bring community in to kind of give you a good sounding board. But another side I would throw out there to at least think through is just the theology of generosity and just the image of the banqueting table. And I know like not everything is a banquet, but there's something about hospitality and the Lord's provision that allows us to kind of think through this too. So if you're listening, there is no easy answer. I think, there's a stewardship element. I think there is a hospitality element, especially if you're getting a lot of young people or people who have not been part of a church and they start seeing that, oh, we worship a God who is generous, who does have, and yet we're not trying to be wasteful with that material things either. So just to give you guys something to chew on and think about as you do this. Okay, last question, because I know we're running out of time on this episode. As it pertains to the Asian American church and the idea of the party or the idea of the celebration. The question I wanted to ask initially was, do you think we do a good job or a pretty poor job at it? But let me reframe it if you want to take the next step. Do you think this generation, particularly Gen Z, well, millennials as they are working with Gen Zs, do you think that is getting better for the church to celebrate? Do you think we're getting more frivolous with it? What's your take on Asian churches and the ethos of celebration?
I'm just going to
That's
quote
it.
one of my students actually, who recently said, I want to celebrate, but I don't want to plan anything.
Okay. So they just want to consume.
They just want to show up and consume it. And I was like, valid, but I think it's also important that eventually you become a contributor or a producer versus just a passive consumer.
Mm,
Huey, what do
yeah,
you think?
I don't know if I could top that. I think that's so true. I think I might add is I think whoever plans it or whoever initiates it, I think really just needs to be intentional and just go for it because everyone desires to be celebrated, right? To be seen and appreciated in that way, whether you're a student that's getting confirmed or baptized, or you're a leader that just came out of a 3-4 day retreat, just to be celebrated and appreciated in that way. I think that's a very healthy thing. I think it's a very good thing. So I think we just need to do it more. I think maybe our students feel awkward, maybe uncomfortable, kind of being seen in that light. But words of affirmation, encouragement goes a long way, and therefore, having a space where you can celebrate something and a group of people, I think it's so healthy for the church. So
That's good.
I'm not sure if that answers your question or not, Justin, but
No,
I think
it's
it's
good.
so necessary, man. I really do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Esther, do you have thoughts?
Well, my dad is weird, and so he's really good at celebrating.
Oh, that's
Oh, that's good.
awesome.
That's excellent.
Yeah.
I think he's as a pastor, I think he does a really great job of celebrating and acknowledging the hard work that either the volunteers have done or like celebrating his students when he was a youth pastor, or even like celebrating like me and my sisters. Um, I haven't been part of like a strictly Asian or Asian American church in a long time, but from the things that I've seen and heard, I think overall, I think we're doing better. And I think we can continue to do that because when we celebrate, I think it sets examples for students of how to celebrate and what to celebrate about.
Yeah, that's good.
I think that's really important. Of what are you celebrating? Are you celebrating like you got an A on your test? Congratulations. And what is that like setting the tone of? Or are you celebrating, wow, thank you so much for serving. Like this was so good. Like you really showed up for the church. Like, and it's not just like workspace, but we're celebrating how God is working in your life and how you showed up into this space, and we're celebrating that. So I think we can continue to do that, but really emphasizing of like, what are you celebrating and how that sets a tone for students in the future.
Yeah, that's so good. Yeah.
So in other words, being purposeful.
Yeah, being really purposeful. I think like as leaders in the church and like with youth ministry, like people look, like the students look up to you. And so how are you setting that example? And are you celebrating things that you believe in and like you think is, that might sound bad, but like you think is worth celebrating?
Like baptism.
Yeah, like baptisms, like what really matters.
Eternal treasures. Yeah, for sure.
Exactly. Yeah.
So this is my dream, right? When we talk about this, like I wish that Asian church right? They would not only recognize the youth ministry, and when they celebrate, not just be like, "Oh, isn't that cute?" Like those little kids, they're having a party, like that's so cute, right? Whereas I wish the older generations or even the other congregations, they can legitimize these are also important members of our church. Let's cheer them on, or let's fund it, right? I think some of the hardest and most frustrating things is constantly trying to defend the youth ministry as a legitimate ministry in the church.
Yeah,
Right?
like
That's a whole
justifying every cost.
yeah, and that's a whole nother, because I'm just like, yo, man, like budget wise, we come out lower, and yet it accomplishes almost the same stuff. So that's a whole different episode, but that's kind of my hope. I also, one of my dreams would be to have a church-wide celebration where the youth aren't kind of relegated to the cleanup crew or the side, but they're almost put in the front of the celebration amongst the rest of the body, right? To be like, hey, this generation is us, and we're going to start with that first. Now, I wouldn't say do that all the time, but I think it does set a precedent, not only for the rest of the people, but also for the youth to go, hey, we also see you. We don't just say you are the future of this church, or even you're the future now, but we're going to put our money where our mouth is, right? Or we're going to actually highlight this there. And so, pastors out there, listeners, as you guys are thinking through your events, as you guys are trying to budget and plan, this is not just event planning for students. I think this is stewardship of time, calendar, resources, and personnel, right? You don't know how long you have volunteers. And so as you have them, appreciate and do all you can to disciple them through events as well. And so with that, friends, want to sign off for this episode for the new year of 2026. Thank you for our special guest being on and contributing so well. You'll be back. I hope so. Very
In a hot
soon.
minute.
Maybe. But we appreciate you. On behalf of Rooted, thank you guys for entrusting us with your time. You want to follow us, you can find us on Spotify or wherever you get your podcast. You can also find us on Instagram. Until next time, we bid you the gospel continues to be the light, not only for salvation, but also for all of life. And so blessings on you as you begin this new year. Later.